Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a kind princess. Her name was Snow White. Snow White was very kind and loved by all. She helped people and cared for animals, but her stepmother, the queen, was jealous. The evil queen wanted to be the most beautiful of all. Every day she asked her mirror,
Mirror, mirror, tell me who is the fairest of all?
For a long time, the mirror said,
You are the fairest of all, your highness.
but as Snow White grew, her beauty shone even brighter. One day the mirror said,
Snow White is the fairest of all.
The evil queen grew very angry and jealous. Her heart was full of envy. The kingdom was peaceful, but trouble was coming. Snow White did not know of the danger ahead. Her gentle smile lit up the land. All the people loved her for her kind heart. But the evil queen had a wicked plan. The mirror's words would soon change her fate. A great adventure was about to begin. Snow White's story was just beginning. The kind princess was loved by all. But a shadow of jealousy grew in the castle. This was the start of many adventures. And so, the tale of Snow White begins. Every day, the evil queen asked her magic mirror.
Mirror, mirror, tell me who is the fairest of all?
For many days, the mirror said,
You are the fairest of all.
but then the mirror answered differently. The mirror said,
Snow White is the fairest of all.
The evil queen became very angry. Her jealousy burned like a fire inside her. She could not stand that Snow White was more beautiful. The queen made a wicked plan. She called the royal huntsman. Her plan was very cruel. The huntsman was told to take Snow White into the deep forest. But the huntsman's heart was kind. He could not hurt the gentle princess. He told her to run far into the forest. Snow White ran quickly, her heart beating fast. She ran into the deep, dark forest. The forest was scary, but she was brave. Tears filled her eyes as she ran. She hoped to find a safe place in the forest. The evil queen's plan was set in motion. But fate had other plans for Snow White. A new adventure was waiting for her. And so, Snow White's journey into the unknown began. Snow White ran deeper into the forest. Her heart pounded, but she stayed brave. The dark forest seemed big and full of secrets. She ran over soft moss and tangled vines. Every step was full of wonder and fear. Strange sounds echoed in the forest. The forest was both scary and magical. Snow White ran until she could run no more. Then she saw a little cottage hidden among the trees. The cottage looked safe and welcoming. Snow White knocked on the little door, but no one answered at first. She stepped inside the cozy cottage. Inside, she saw 7 little chairs and beds. The cottage was small but full of love. Snow White felt safe and calm here. She lay down and soon fell into a deep sleep. The forest was quiet as she slept. Outside, the trees whispered gentle lullabies. Snow White dreamed of kindness and hope. Her heart was pure and full of light. She felt safe at last in this little cottage. The cottage was a shelter from the dark forest. And so Snow White found a new home for now. Later that evening, the cottage door opened. 7 little dwarfs walked in from the forest. They worked in the nearby mines and lived happily. They were surprised to see Snow White sleeping. Snow White woke up to their kind faces. She told them her story in a gentle voice. The dwarfs felt sorry for her and welcomed her. They said,
Stay with us, little princess, and we will always protect you.
Snow White promised to help with little chores. They all became good friends that night. The cottage filled with laughter and love. Outside, the forest was calm and peaceful. Snow White felt safe and happy with her new friends. They all worked and played together every day. The little house was full of magic and care. The dwarfs warned her.
Be careful, princess. The queen is dangerous.
Snow White listened, and her eyes grew wide. She knew she must be brave in this new world. The dwarfs promised to always look after her. Together, they became a loving family. But far away, the evil queen was not happy. Her heart burned with envy and anger. She planned a wicked trick to get rid of Snow White. The peaceful life in the cottage was about to change. Back at the castle, the evil queen grew very angry. She asked her mirror again.
Who is the fairest of all?
This time, the mirror said,
Snow White is the fairest of all.
The queen's envy grew even stronger. She decided to trick Snow White with a poisoned apple. The evil queen put on an old, kind disguise. She set off into the forest with the magic apple. Her plan was to hurt Snow White without anyone knowing. The forest seemed to whisper warnings. Back at the cottage, Snow White worked happily with the dwarfs, but a shadow of danger was coming. The dwarfs grew worried about the strange visitor. Snow White remained kind and brave. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. An old woman stood at the door with a shiny apple. Snow White welcomed her with a kind heart. The old woman offered the apple as a gift. Snow White looked at the apple, thinking it was very pretty. She took a small bite, and then everything went dark. The apple was poisoned, and Snow White fell into a deep sleep. The evil queen laughed wickedly as she disappeared into the forest. The dwarfs found Snow White and were very sad. They built a beautiful glass coffin to keep her safe. All the forest creatures gathered, hoping she would wake up. Time passed, and the forest grew quiet. One day, a kind prince rode through the forest. He had heard of Snow White's beauty and sadness. The prince found the glass coffin in a quiet clearing. He was very moved by the sight of Snow White. The prince leaned down and kissed her gently. A magic spark filled the air around them. Slowly, Snow White's eyes fluttered open. The dwarfs cheered with joy and relief. The prince was overjoyed to see her awake. He invited her to come with him to his castle. Snow White nodded with a joyful heart. She said goodbye to the kind dwarfs. The dwarfs promised to always remember her. The prince and Snow White rode away together. The forest celebrated with happy cheers. The magic of true love had broken the spell. The prince and Snow White promised to care for each other. They rode to the prince's bright castle. Hope and love filled the kingdom again. The evil queen's dark magic was gone forever. Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after. They remembered the kind dwarfs with grateful hearts, and the kingdom was filled with love and joy once again. Her heart shone with love and gratitude. She visited the forest often to see her dwarf friends. The forest echoed with their laughter. Every smile made the kingdom shine brighter. Snow White's kindness spread like magic. The people learned that love and care are the greatest treasure. Every day, the kingdom grew happier and stronger. Snow White and her friends made the world a better place. Their story of love and friendship lived on in every heart. The castle, the cottage, and the forest were one big happy home. Everyone remembered Snow White's gentle spirit. Her kindness was a shining light in the kingdom, and they all lived happily ever after. A new day dawned in the happy kingdom. Snow White woke up with a warm smile. The prince greeted her with love. They planned a day full of joy and sharing. The kingdom was filled with laughter and songs. Every heart shone with happiness. Snow White often visited the dwarfs with warm gifts. The dwarfs and villagers celebrated together. Every day brought new adventures and fun. They helped each other and shared lots of love. The magic of kindness filled every corner. Snow White's gentle heart shone like a bright star. Her story was a lesson in love and care. The villagers remembered her kindness every day. Even the trees and flowers seemed to smile. The kingdom was a land of hope and joy. Every day was a new, happy beginning. Snow White and the prince ruled with love. Their love made the kingdom strong. Everyone lived together in peace. The magic of Snow White's story shined in every smile. Her kindness and bravery were a gift to all. The kingdom was a land of dreams come true, and they all lived happily ever after.